Welcome to Sideboard Therapy. I'm Drew.
And I'm Graham.
Today, we're looking for the strongest strategy in lower power commander. We're looking at 3 archetypes to dominate in casual pods.
We'll cover what makes them powerful, which commanders lead them, and how you can build around them. And stick around to the end to see where we rank each archetype.
And if you love commander deep dives like this, make sure to subscribe to Sideboard Therapy for more videos like this one. Let's get into it.
Starting us off, we've got aristocrat style decks. These decks win by playing lots of creatures that replace themselves, or provide value when they die, therefore sacrificing them for profit. Here are a few of the strongest commanders. Teysa Karlov. For 2 generic, 1 white, and 1 black mana, we get a 2/4 human advisor that says, if a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink. That means your Blood Artist, Zulaport Cutthroat, and Grave Pact effects all scale up dramatically, draining opponents twice as hard or making them sack more creatures. Meanwhile, token makers like Alindra the Dusk Rose or Ophiamancer turn into massive engines for us to use to value out our board and control the board. At her core, Teysa really enables aristocrat strategies, sacrificing creatures for value while doubling payoffs, and helps to overwhelm the table with tokens that can swing out or be used as sack fodder. She's resilient, grindy, and rewards tight sequencing. Whether you're flooding the board, looping death triggers, or grinding opponents out, Teysa makes sure every death is twice as punishing.
Next, we have Marin of Clan Neltroth. For 2 generic, 1 black, and 1 green, we get a 3/4 human shaman that says, whenever another creature we control dies, you get an experience counter. At the beginning of your end step, choose target creature card in your graveyard. If that card's mana value is less than or equal to the number of experience counters we have, we return it to the battlefield. Otherwise, put it in our hand. So, that means sacrifice outlets become a way to fuel value. Secure Tribe Elder ramps us every turn. Fleshbag Marauder can help keep opponents' boards clear. And Spore Frog can help protect us from combat almost every turn. Over time, Marin can snowball into a relentless grind machine, looping creatures for removal, ramp, and card advantage until our opponents run out of resources. Marin is all about the graveyard synergy and attrition. If left unchecked, she can turn the graveyard into an extension of our hand. This makes her one of the strongest options for lower to mid-range metas that favor grindy games.
Finally, we have Marchesa the Black Rose. For 1 generic and Grixis mana, we get a 3/3 human wizard that says, Dethrone. This is an ability that says whenever this creature attacks the player with the most life, or tied for the most life, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Additionally, it says other creatures you control have dethroned, and whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, return that card to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. Marchesa decks thrive on sacrifice synergies, ETB value creatures, and control pieces. Cards like Solemn Simulacrum and Gonti, Lord of Luxury, become repeatable engines, while sacrifice outlets like Viscera Seer or Ashnod's Altar let you recycle your board for constant advantage. What sets her apart is the resilience. Board wipes, removal, even your own sacrifice effects all turn into tools instead of setbacks. And with Dethrone pushing you to attack the arch enemy at the table with the highest life total, she adds a political layer that keeps pressure spread around. Marchesa is about grindy value loops and clever timing, a commander who punishes opponents for ever letting you keep her on board.
So, why it's so strong at low power? Most players are attacking with creatures and trying to hold the board state. Aristocrat punishes board wipes and creature combat because he's drained no matter what. The weakness, graveyard hate like Rest in Peace or Bajuka Bog or instant speed removal to break the sack outlet chains, but left unchecked, aristocrats will slowly and inevitably drain out the table. Moving on to our next archetype, it's Go Wide tokens. These decks are explosive and main goal is to overwhelm the table with the amount of bodies they put into play. Here are a few of the strongest commanders. To start us off, we have Franco Mob Boss. For 2 generic and 2 red, we get a 3/3 Goblin Warrior. His ability is simple but terrifying. Tap him to create 1/1 goblins equal to the number of goblins you already control. That means every activation grows exponentially and quickly overwhelms the board with an army. What makes him powerful is how easy it is to multiply his effect. Cards like Thousand Year Elixir, or Mage Right Stone, or an Umber Mantle let you untap him for multiple activations a turn, while Haste Neighbors like Fervor or Lightning Greaves make sure he gets online immediately. Once the swarm is built, red also gives you plenty of ways to turn those tokens into direct damage, with finishers like Impact Tremors, Goblin Bombardment, or Persfrost, God of the Forge. It makes every token lethal before combat even happens. Krenko's strength lies in his scaling. Left unchecked, he snowballs from a few goblins into hundreds, forcing opponents to answer fast or be buried underneath their tide.
Our next choice is Chatterfang Squirrel General. For 2 generic and 1 green, we get a Squirrel Warrior. At first glance, he looks like a silly squirrel kindred payoff, but in reality, he's a token doubling engine that can slot into almost any go-wide strategy. His ability creates an extra squirrel token whenever you make tokens of any kind. That means cards like Parallel Lives, Pitiless Plunder, or even just a simple Tendershoot Dryad suddenly help us flood the board twice as fast. The real power comes from his Sacrifice Outlet. By paying a single black mana and sacrificing X squirrels, you can give a target creature +X -X until end of turn. This lets you control the board, pick off utility creatures, or even combat other token armies. Not only is he a go-wide deck, but he's also very strong with aristocrats too. Chatterfang is explosive because he blends token generation, sacrifice synergies, and direct damage drains all into one commander, making him a perfect pick if you want to overwhelm the table with tokens and weaponize them.
Finally, we have Caesar Legion's Emperor. For 1 generic and Mardu, we get a 4/4 human soldier, who is a brutal Mardu commander that blends token generation, card advantage, and direct damage all into one aggressive package. On each attack, he lets you sacrifice a creature to choose 2 powerful effects: create hasty soldier tokens, draw a card at the cost of a life, or deal damage equal to the number of tokens you control. This flexibility makes Caesar thrive in go-wide strategies. Cards like Anointed Procession or Ogier Talk Deepest Foundation can let you double all of your tokens, or Elspeth Stormslayer also helps flood the battlefield tokens, turning his damage trigger into a massive burn spell every turn. He also very naturally leans into the aristocrat synergies. What makes Caesar dangerous is how little setup he really needs. As soon as he attacks, he's immediately multiplying the board, pressuring life totals, or refilling your hand, all while rewarding you for what Mardu decks already want to do: make creatures and swing hard. Why does Go White dominate at lower power? It doesn't need expensive combos, just raw numbers. In casual pods where people aren't comboing off, nothing stops 40 power worth of soldiers swinging at you. Its biggest weakness? Ward wipes. That's why cards like Flawless Maneuver, Teferi's Protection, Dawn's Truce, or even Eldrazi Monument are crucial for protection. And last, but certainly not least, we have Landfall. These strategies thrive on playing multiple lands per turn and turning each land drop into absurd value. Here are a few of the strongest commanders.
Getting us started is Omnath, Locus of Creation. This is one of the strongest 4-color commanders ever printed for Ink Treader. You get a 4/4 elemental, and it takes landfall strategies to a whole new level. You get card draw, life gain, and explosive mana generation, all tied to the most consistent resource in Commander: lands. Whenever Omnath enters, you draw a card, but the real fireworks come with multiple land drops per turn. He says whenever a land enters, you gain 4 life, which helps you stabilize against aggressive decks. And on the second resolution, Omnath generates 4 mana in red, white, blue, and green. This lets you chain even more spells or more ramp pieces. Finally, on the third resolution, he deals 4 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker you don't control. A repeatable burn effect. To maximize him, you want extra land drop enablers, like Exploration, Azusa, Lost but Seeking, and Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Fetch lands, or cards like Harrow and Scapeshift, trigger multiple landfalls at once, letting you climb the chain of rewards in a single turn. Pair him with Avenger of Zendikar, Field of the Dead, or Rampaging Baloths for an overwhelming board state. While Valakut Exploration and Lotus Cobra turn each landfall into even more value. What makes Omnath so dangerous is how self-contained he is. Omnath is strong at creating an engine that snowballs fast and is a definitive landfall powerhouse.
Following that is Thalia and the Gitrog monster. This is one of the scariest Abzan commanders that can hit the table, combining landfall synergies, stacks elements, and combat dominance into a single card. For one generic and then Abzan, you get a 4/4 with First Strike and Death Touch. That makes it nearly impossible for it to be profitable to block or attack into. And their static ability lets us get ahead while it forces opponents to play slower. It says, you may play an additional land on each of your turns, and creatures and non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. That means you ramp ahead while your opponent's mana bases and creature development are delayed. Perfect for breaking up grindy games. The sacrifice ability ties everything together. Whenever Thalia and the Gitrog monster attacks, sacrifice a creature or a land, then draw a card. This turns lands and expendable creatures into repeatable card advantage. And with cards like Crucible of Worlds, Life from the Loam, or Random Up Excavator, you can turn the downside into a powerful land recursion engine. This deck shines when you combine land ramp pieces like Exploration, Oracle of Moldiah, or stack pieces such as Archon of Valor's Reach or Collector Oof, really slowing down the table while you accelerate. Since Thalia and the Gitrog monster generates both draw and ramp in the command zone, they're a very resilient choice for grindy mid-range strategies that thrive in attrition. What makes this commander so dangerous is the flexibility. You can build it as landfall, stacks, or even a token sacrifice mid-range, and it's going to perform in every avenue. If you want a commander that can control the pace of a game while pulling further ahead on its own, Thalia and the Gitrog monster is a brutal choice, but the one for you.
And the final commander in our list is Tatyova Benthic Druid. This is one of the strongest value engines you can run in Simic, and a prime example of why Landfall is considered one of the best archetypes at lower power tables. At 3 generic, 1 green, and 1 blue, she gives you a simple but incredibly powerful trigger. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life and draw a card. That's it. But in Commander, where you're already playing ramp spells and extra land drops, this turns into every land being pure advantage. Similarly to Omnath, cards like Exploration, Azusa, Lost with Seeking, or Dryad of the Elysian Grove help us get extra land triggers and quickly bury opponents under card draw. Even basic ramp spells like Cultivate and Kodama's Reach become cantrips that also help to pad our life total. The real power of Tatyova comes from her ability to turn ramp into sustain or a way to just refill your hand. With Scapeshift or Splendid Reclamation, you can trigger a storm of card draw and life gain all at once. And if you want to close the game, landfall payoffs like Avenger of Zendikar, Rampaging Balos, or Craterhoof Behemoth let you convert all that mana and card advantage into a lethal board state. Unlike most commanders that need specific synergies, Tatyova thrives just by playing good Simic cards. She stabilizes with life gain, fuels your hand endlessly, and makes sure you never run out of gas. At casual to mid-power levels, Tatyova is one of the most consistent commanders you can bring to the table. If you want a commander that rewards ramp, scales with the game, and keeps your hand full no matter what, Tatyova Benthic Druid is a landfall classic that never disappoints.
So why is landfall strong at lower power? Lands are the hardest permanent type to interact with, so your engine keeps going even if some of your creatures die potentially. And once the snowball starts, you usually overwhelm the table with card advantage or creature generation before their decks can stabilize. The biggest weakness? While it might be strange, land removal seems to be pretty taboo at most tables, so our biggest concern is our commander being removed typically, so make sure to pack up on protection like Lightning Greaves, Heroic Intervention, or any counter spells. But once you get rolling, it should be game over.
So there you have it, our top 3 archetypes for lower powered commander.
We've got go wide strategies. They swarm the board with tokens and overwhelm our opponents with numbers. But they're at number 3 because board wipes can be very hard to recover from and might leave them falling behind. At number 2, we have the aristocrat decks, sacrificing creatures for value and draining the table out of nowhere. But unlike the go wide, their board wipe can actually provide us with some value, so that places us at number 2. And at number 1, it has to be landfall. Drawing cards, gaining life, and ramping into explosive board states that are almost impossible to keep up with, all for just playing a land. What do you think? Did we get the order right, or would you put a different archetype at the top?
Be sure to drop your thoughts in the comments, and while you're there, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next breakdown here on Sideboard Therapy.